They beat me to hell. And after a few hours, they let us go. That was normal because if you get arrested, you were lucky if you are getting out there alive. I was in the front on my way out of the building. In the staircase, I came face to face with the Prime Minister of South Africa.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be looking again at what it means to be a conscious and informed traveler in Namibia. And that means taking a look at Namibia's history. We're going to be talking to Veraa Katuuo again. Now, Veraa was a Herero man born in Namibia in the 1950s. And at that time, Namibia was under South African administration. Like South Africa, it was also under the apartheid system. Now, in the second part of our two-part interview, Veraa shares his personal story about what it was like growing up in apartheid in Namibia. Before, Veraa was fighting for justice for the Ovaherero Nama people for crimes that had been committed by Germany over 100 years ago. Veraa was fighting for his education, and we're going to learn about what it was like to study under the Bantu education system in Namibia in the 1970s. Now, after I talked to Veraa, his story about fighting for his education really sunk in. He talked about how he went to school in Windhoek, which is the capital of Namibia, and about how he was boycotting the education system there. The Bantu education system sought to segregate people based on the color of their skin, and Black people were not afforded the same education as white people were at the time in Namibia and also in South Africa. As I listened to Veraa's story and thought about it afterwards, my heart went out to him and to the millions of others who had lived through such an oppressive system. And it really shone a new light on the education that I've personally been able to have. While I'm grateful for my education, I never thought about it through the lens of having to fight for it. I always just went to school or applied to school and went about the motions, not really thinking about the fact that some people actually have to fight for an education. So I think any of us who are in a position where we don't have to think about these things, it's always best if we can help those who do not have access to the same resources that we do. Whether that's through sharing someone's story or whether that's through helping people gain access to information that can help them make informed decisions. I think it's wonderful to help others when we can. Now I'm going to cut to my interview with Veraa Katuuo.
I think if you know the history of the genocide of Namibia, when you go to Lutherets, you'll know exactly what happened there. And I think you go there and respecting that area.
I remember when I went to Shark Island for the first time, and which is right off the coast of Lutherets in southern Namibia, and it was the first concentration camp in the world, really. And there was not one plaque. There were different plaques and memorials to German merchants, but there was like one kind of obscure plaque that may be related to the genocide, but there was nothing that commemorated the fact that it was a concentration camp. For your average person there, they had no idea. And I thought, this is so important. You have to know.
Exactly. You see, Kate, that's a very good, valid point you're making. I think that we're going to create or arouse curiosity in these people willing to go to that place and to look and visit. It's not the other way around. It won't now kind of, no, I'm not going to go there because genocide happened. I said, well, you know what? Let me go and look what these people are talking about.
And especially now, as we're moving past the era of COVID, people are going to be much more mindful in their journeys and in their travels. This appreciation for the environment and the culture where people are traveling to. And for those going to Namibia, that must involve an acknowledgement of the past.
Exactly.
How do you balance justice with healing? It sounds like they're two opposite things.
Yeah, because the only thing you have to understand, Kate, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about the truth and about the future generation. If you get angry about these things, you're not going to learn and to teach anyone anything. Just be calm, tell the truth, because what we have the truth on our side. What we are talking about is well documented by the German people themselves. And that's why we You know what? It happened. You see, you can forgive, but you can forget. And that's why we are on this mission, to let the people not to forget about that history.
Why the Jewish people received reparations and the Herero have not yet?
Because the only difference I can see is just the color of the color of the skin of different people. You know, that's the only difference. Discrimination against Africans or against Black people around the world have been prevalent for years. And it continues even today in the US. If you see the demonstration started last year and this year about the Black Lives Matters, and it's still going on today. And that's what it is. Unless somebody else convinces me otherwise. The key is education, is to engage the people, talk to them. Don't be angry, don't fight against them. Tell them your story. Be factual. You know, bring the history. My father was a politician. He was in a traditional Herero politician. He was very close to the chiefs. And I was always close to politics. In 1973, when I was in Agostinho Mestan High School in Windhoek, we organized a boycott against the Bantu education at the school. And I was expelled from the school. And the next, like 2 days after, I was arrested at the road blockade outside Windhoek. I was planning to get out of Windhoek because really Windhoek was patrol, was like a lot of the army cars, was like, there was kind of a curfew and no one was leaving. I mean, the whole army was around Windhoek, Veraa Katuuo during those days.
And was it during the apartheid system?
Yes, that was during the apartheid system. And we decided, okay, let's get out of Windhoek because the situation is getting very dangerous. And that early morning, we were arrested at a roadblock outside Windhoek. And we brought back, we were booked. And they beat me up because I was the youngest in the whole group. And they asked me why you are not in school. And then they said, oh, you are a political agitator. That's why you are here. You're supposed to be in school. They beat me to hell. And after a few hours, they let us go. That was normal because if you get arrested, you were lucky if you are getting out there alive. I was in the front on my way out of the building. In the staircase, I came face to face with the Prime Minister of South Africa, Foster, face to face like this. He was coming up the stairs and I was coming down. We came face to face like this. And I can remember him clearly. He was wearing a light blue suit with a white shirt and a red tie. And his security guard jumped in front of him, and they pushed me back out in the other room so that he can pass over. That's something I will never forget for the rest of my life. And he's the guy who implemented the Bantu educational system in Namibia and South Africa. He's the guy who wanted to keep the Black people, down. And to do that, and then during that time, there was an uprising in Soweto too, in South Africa, about the same issue, and just happened to spread into Namibia. When I was kicked out of school and get beaten and went home, I was released and went home. And that morning, I went to see my father. We slept. In the morning when I woke up, I woke up in the morning and my pillow was glued on my head, because somehow at night the blood was coming out of my ear on the pillow, and I really have to really pull the pillow off my head, and you can see a clot of blood on the pillow. And I wake up, we sit on the fire in the morning with my father. My father was so angry and upset, and he said something I will never forget. And he said that I thought I'm going to educate my son. Now I'm here. Why do these white people do this to us? And that said, you know what? I realized the reason why they kind of doing this to us so that we don't get educated. And you said, what? I'm going back to that school. I went to that school and I applied again, and they accepted me. And I ended up finishing my high school diploma. And by that time, our teacher, which was a British lady, have a friend at the Barclays Bank, which was looking for Black people to work in a bank because they wanted to attract Black customers, to Black clients to the bank. And we went there for interview with my friend, and we were hired. And we were part of the first group of African people to be hired as a bank tellers or bank clerks in Namibia. Barclays Bank is just competing against the other banks in Namibia to bring in African clients. A good experience, because when you grew up in Namibia during that period of time, you thought the white people are very smart based on the way they talking down to you and treat you. And to me, it was an eye-opener. And I see a lot of white people who couldn't even speak English or couldn't even do anything right. And I would say, wow, all people are the same, regardless of your color. And that to me was really an education for me. It was an eye-opener. And that's why I always look at people as human beings, not in terms of colors. In every ethnic group, you can find stupid, smart, thief, whatever you can find in every ethnic group. We as a people, we are individuals. We are not saying as Jewish people or Ovaherero people or Nama people or Irish people. No, we are individuals. In every ethnic group, you can find good people and bad people. And that's a lesson I will never forget the rest of my life.
Very important lesson learned in a difficult way. So Veraa, you essentially went back to the school that you had gotten beaten up in front of. You finished your studies.
Work in the bank.
Worked at one of the first Black hires at Barclays Bank.
Yes.
And you decided to move to the United States.
Yes, it was an opportunity too, because there were people there who were Herero people who were here already, who escaped through Botswana and then end up here, wanted to go back home. And I called my father one day to let him know that I'm on my way back home. And he totally said, no, don't come home, stay there. And I said, why? But I stayed. I didn't question him. In February, I was sitting in my room here, and it hits me. Is this the reason why my father prevented me from coming home so that I can do this? Why all of a sudden am I doing this? And these are kind of things that you started thinking about, Then I even tell my wife about it. She never knew about that. I told her about the story and said, yeah, maybe it was meant to be. But I don't something I do well about it. But these are certain things that mark in your life that you put them together, that you say, okay, something was meant to be.
So kind of just pivoting back now to the movement that you really spearheaded, which is sharing and educating the world about the Ovaherero Nama Genocide. How do you think people can get involved and can make a difference and help your cause?
Our organization is non-profit, non-partisan organization. We are open to any kind of participation from anyone who are advancing our cause. We have organized like conferences, especially in universities and stuff like that. We are willing and open to accommodate anyone who want to be part of our cause, who is part of our organization, and to move forward to educate the world about our genocide.
So again, it's going back to education.
That's a key. That's the purpose. That's the main purpose for this organization, is to educate the masses, is to educate the people about the near extermination of the Ovaherero and Nama people.
Thank you, Veraa. This has been very helpful, and I hope educational for those who are not familiar with the Ovaherero Nama Genocide or Namibia in general, and this will give you a bit of a context.
I really thank you from the bottom of my heart to educate the world about our cause, and we really appreciate that. And I hope this will continue for years.
All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe at the link down below, and I will see you in the next video.